10 rules, carved in stone, spoken aloud by a voice so powerful the mountain itself shook and caught fire. But here's a question almost nobody asks out loud. Were the 10 commandments given to control you, or to protect something inside you that you didn't even know needed protecting? By the end of this video, you'll understand something most people miss entirely about the 10 commandments, including a strange detail about how they were actually given. A reaction from the Israelites that reveals exactly how they felt about freedom and the real answer to whether these 10 rules were ever meant to be a cage, because the answer might completely flip what you were taught in Sunday school. 3 months after walking out of Egypt, the people of Israel arrive at the base of a mountain called Sinai. For 400 years, they had known only one law, Pharaoh's law, slave law. Wake before dawn, work until you collapse, and if you rest, you're beaten. That was the only law they had ever lived under. Now they stand at the foot of a mountain, and Exodus 19 says thunder and lightning break across the sky, thick smoke rises like a furnace, and the whole mountain trembles violently. A trumpet blast grows louder and louder, not fading, growing. Moses climbs up into the cloud, and then something happens that almost nobody talks about. Here's the detail most people miss. In Exodus 20, God doesn't just hand Moses 10 rules privately on the mountain. He speaks all 10 commandments out loud, directly to the entire nation, every man, woman, and child standing at the base of that mountain hears the voice of God himself. And what's the people's reaction? Not relief, not gratitude. Exodus chapter 20 says they trembled and stood at a distance, and they begged Moses, "You speak to God for us. We don't want to hear that voice again." Why would freedom feel so terrifying that people would rather have someone else stand between them and it? Look closely at the structure of the 10. The first 4 are about a person's relationship with God. No other gods, no idols, honor his name, keep a day of rest. The last 6 are about relationships with other people. Honor your parents, do not murder, do not steal, do not lie, do not covet what belongs to someone else. Centuries later, a rabbi from Nazareth would be asked which commandment mattered most. He said the whole law could be summed up in 2, love God and love your neighbor. So here's the mid-hook worth sitting with. If the entire law comes down to just 2 things, why did God bother giving 10 specific rules instead of 2 vague ones? Because love without definition becomes whatever we want it to mean. A riverbank doesn't exist to trap the water. It exists so the water has somewhere to go, so it doesn't spread out into a swamp and go nowhere. The 10 commandments work the same way. They're not fences built to cage a wild animal. They're banks built to give a river direction. Look at the 4th commandment again. Rest on the 7th day. To a people who had just spent 400 years being worked to death with no rest ever permitted, this wasn't a restriction. This was the first time in their entire lives someone with absolute power over them said, "Stop working. You are allowed to rest." That's not control. That's the opposite of everything they had ever known. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. If these commandments really are gifts of freedom and direction and love, why does breaking even one of them feel like something inside us cracks? Why does the guilt feel so heavy? The Bible actually answers this directly. Paul writes that the law was never given to make us right with God. It was given so that, by comparing ourselves to it, we would recognize exactly how far we fall short. The law isn't just a riverbank. It's also a mirror. It shows us who we actually are, not who we pretend to be. And this is the answer to the question we started with. Do the 10 commandments control you? No. They reveal you. They show you with painful clarity The exact places where willpower alone will never be enough. The exact places where you need something, someone, greater than yourself. And that's exactly why, centuries later, when Jesus stood in front of a crowd, he said he didn't come to throw out the law. He came to fulfill it, to keep it perfectly, on behalf of people who never could. The commandments were never the finish line. They were always pointing toward him. Lord, thank you for a law that was never meant to crush us, but to guide us, to show us what love actually looks like, and to show us how much we need grace when we fail to live it out. Help us keep your commandments not out of fear, but out of love, knowing that Christ already kept them perfectly for us. Amen.